Here's the problem. 2 sine x plus 1 equals 0. Basically, we're supposed to solve it. To do that, an easier way to do it is just to make sine equal to x. Yeah, there, I wrote it. So yeah, just make sine x into x. So then you just solve it like a normal equation, minus 1 from both sides. So then you get 2x equals negative 1. Then you divide the 2 from the one side, and you get x equals negative 1 half. So since x is equal to negative 1 half, that means sine x is equal to negative 1 half. So if we then use a unit circle and find all the values of sine x that are equal to negative 1 half, we then find out that sine x equals negative 1 half also equals 7 pi over 6 and 11 pi over 6 on the unit circle. And that's okay. Here's problem number 2. Problem number 2 is sine x minus radical 2 equals negative sine x, as you can see. Okay, anyway, the first thing you do would be add sine x from both sides. It would then cancel out on this one side, and then it becomes 2 sine x on this side minus radical 2 equals 0. From there, you would then add the radical 2, canceling out on the one side, then adding it to the other side, like that, and making it 2 sine x equals radical 2. From there, you would then divide the 2 from both sides, canceling out the side with the sine x. So it'd be then sine x equals radical 2 over 2. Okay, and then from there you use the unit circle and find all the values of sine x that are equal to radical 2 over 2, which would be pi over 4 and 3 pi over 4. That's really it.
Problem is 2 sine squared of x minus sine of x minus 1. And so what we need to do is factor. So what I do to factor is make a little table. And so we have 2 sine of x here. And we also have that, we just have sine of x here. And so that'll be 2 sine of x squared. And then we are trying to get just negative 1 as the constant. So we have 1 and 1. And we know that this is going to be 2 sine of x. And this is going to be just 1 sine of x. And then from there, this has to be negative. So we know that the larger one with the larger number needs to be the one that's negative. So that's going to be there. So we have 2 sine of x plus 1 times just sine of x minus 1. And from here we can set both these equal to 0. So 1 sine of x plus 1 equals 0, which is going to cause you have to subtract that. So you have minus 1 on that side, and you're going to divide both sides by 2. So you have that sine of x equals negative 1 half. You do the same thing for this side, but it's just going to be sine of x equals 1 once you set equal to 0. So according to the unit circle, when sine is negative 1 half, 7 pi over 6 and 11 pi over 6. So that's one set of answers. And then with this one, sine equals 1 when it is pi over 2. And so those are the three answers to this problem. Okay, so this next problem is cotangent of x times cosine squared of x equals 2 cotangent. So in order to do this one, we need to get this onto the other side. So we can subtract. So we have cotangent x times cosine squared x minus 2 cotangent equals 0. And from there, we can see that we can factor out the cotangent. So, and now we have cotangent times.
I'm good.
We have cosine squared of x,
We
it
got,
would be minus
looks like we could go
2,
Amity
factor
and
out the
then
cotangent.
Hall.
Next, you can set
With a
both
little
of
bit
these
of luck.
equal to 0 because it's
No
not
FCS
factored.
schools.
So cotangent equals 0. Cosine squared of x equals 2. And then from there, we square root it to get rid of the exponent. We have cosine of x equals plus or minus the square root of 2. And there's nowhere on the unit circle where that happens, so that means that this one particularly has no solution. For this one, we know that cotangent on the unit circle is 0 at pi over 2 and 3 pi over 2. Because just think of it in terms of tangent to make it easier to understand. And then those are the two answers, because that one doesn't have a solution.
Hi, this is Sam, and today I will be showing you how I review for my Chapter 2 test. Since I am a physical learner, I like to do review problems. So today I will be doing review problems on solving multiple angle equations. To start, we will be adding 1 to both sides to move the negative 1 over. This brings us to 2 cosine times 3x equals 1. Next, we will be dividing the entire equation by 2 to get rid of this 2 connected to the cosine of 3x. This brings us to cosine of 3x equals 1/2. Now we need to find out where cosine equals 1/2. Now, this 3x means that we have to have 3 times the amount of these answers. So what we will be doing is we will be multiplying each one of these by 2 pi 2 times. We have to divide out the 3 out of the x. Basically what we do now is we times the denominator by each of the denominators in each of these problems. Next we have to make sure that all of these solutions are between 0 and 2 pi. 2 pi would equal 18 pi over 9. Since all of these are less than 18 pi over 9 and greater than 0, they are all solutions. This is our next review problem. Since it is already in its most simplified form, we just have to find out where tangent equals 1. Next, we have to find 4 times the amount of these solutions. So we will be multiplying all of these two by 2 pi 4 times. Next, we have to get x alone, so we will be dividing all of our solutions by 4. Again, we just have to multiply our denominator by the denominators in each of the solutions. Now we have to make sure that all of these solutions are actual solutions between 0 and 2 pi. So 2 pi would be 32 pi over 16. Since all of these are above 0 and under 32 pi of 16, they are all solutions.
Alright, this is how I think all my problems through, is I picture the unit circle on my paper when I'm looking for the cosines, tangents, or sines. So when I'm looking for my problems, I always think of the cosine, comma the sine, and then the tangent I always write on the outside. So if I was looking for cosine, it would be 3 pi over 2 since it is in the x value. So all of the ones in the x would be cosine, the first ones. The second ones would be sine, so like these ones. And the tangents are written on the outside since they are cosine over sine divided by sine. And it's like negative radical 3, 1, radical 3 over 3. Or for all these ones, they're either undefined or 0. And that's how I think my problems through. I just picture the unit circle on my paper, and that's how I study. Alright, this is our equation. 3 tangent of x over 2 plus 3 equals 0. First, you want to move the plus 3 to the other side and make it negative. So you get 3 tangent of x over 2 equals negative 3. From here, you want to divide by 3 to get the tangent alone. You get tangent of x over 2 equals negative 1, since negative 3 over 3 is negative. From here, you want to think about where tangent is equal to negative 1. And that you find in quadrant 2 and 4. Since it is pi over 4 and tangent is cosine over sine, you get negative 1 here and here. So you get x over 2 is equal to 3 pi over 4, which is in quadrant 2, and 7 pi over 4, which is in quadrant 4. Now you want to multiply by 2 to both sides to get the x alone. And you get 6 pi over 4 and 14 pi over 4. Now you want to simplify, and you get 3 pi over 2 and 7 pi over 2. Since our range is from 0 to 2 pi, 7 pi over 2 will not work since it is more than 2 pi. And your answer is 3 pi over 2. Alright, so our equation is cosine x over 2 equals radical 3 over 2. First, for this, you want to find where cosine equals radical 3 over 2. That is in quadrant 1 and 4, since they're both positive. Cosine is on the x and sine is on the y, so you find the values on the x side, where radical 3 over 2 would be pi over 6. So you get x over 2 equals pi over 6. And in the fourth quadrant, cosine is 11 pi over 6. From here, you want to multiply each side by 2 to get the x alone. From here, you get x equals 2 pi over 6 and 22 pi over 6. Now you need to simplify. So x equals pi over 3 and 11 pi over 3. Since our range is from 0 to 2 pi, 11 pi over 3 would not work. So we cross that one out, and your answer is pi over 3.